Respect the place that you call home. Respect the land in which you roam. Respect the country you were born. Let's take it back. Respect reform. Hold on to freedom, hold on to hope. Don't give them slack, don't give them rope. Don't walk and hang your head in shame. Be proud, stand tall, and we will reign.
Myself and Robert out this week. We out this Saturday. We're going to be knocking on some doors which we know are reform. Right, step up. We need people. We need minimum 39 in Exeter. In Greater Exeter, we need 86 people. That's 86 councillors. Now, if you think you're only going to be a councillor for one ward, right, we need 3 councillors per ward. So your work is like 1/3. Right now, Tony and I, we're doing for districts, aren't we?
Yes. So we cover 2 wards.
So same again. If you want to go, if you're interested, private message me. We will come and see you. We've got 2 or 3 people to come and see this week. But please step up to the plate, or don't moan about this country.
Okay. Hey, Neil, thanks very much. And by the way, breaking news here. We have a job vacancy for presenter of this show because the presenter, again, failed to lift up the sliders on the mic, so may not have heard the first couple minutes, which is basically, of course, Tony's a guest on the show tonight. Thank you, Tony, counselor from St. Thomas next week. And we have Pete Anning, who's a local businessman.
Hello.
So
Hello again.
Hello again.
thanks very much. And again, we focus on local issues on the show, local issues only. And the topic tonight is Can Exeter get the NHS care it needs? Okay, so now let's get on to something important, which is you. Tony, tell us
Oh,
what...
it's my bit. Yeah, right.
Yes, sir.
Well, your voice matters, so let's have a conversation. You can get us on Facebook, so join us live on Facebook, look, or WhatsApp on 07355 429 205, or on YouTube, look. You can always sign on to that. Message or comment. We'll read all your comments live, or you can email Neil at neil.stevens@devon.gov.uk, and he'll receive those. And again, we will respond.
Fantastic job, Tony. And hey, like I said before, if you know how to work YouTube, then subscribe to Neil Stevens, and you'll get notified every week of our exciting shows. And in fact, you can go, and if you're really a geek, into the archive of all these different shows, 60 podcasts. You can sit there all on Bank Holiday weekend and listen to every single one, okay? So, okay, now I think it's about time for some local councillor updates. What do you think, Neil?
Yep, we've been really busy this week. We're going to bring Pete in a minute. You've heard about Silverlands, that is in my area. Mm-hmm. It's where they're going to knock a fantastic Victorian building down and put 67 houses. What's your view on that?
How many houses do you need in Alphington? And Alphington's heritage.
Well, they all pay council tax, so the council needs a lot of money. So stack them high.
Yeah. But I mean, at what cost? I mean, it's just losing its face out there. I appreciate we're going to have lots of houses, and there's definitely a big deficit, but at what cost?
Well, where's the infrastructure again?
Exactly.
There's one shop. If you exclude the supermarket, obviously near Bridge Motorcycles, but otherwise, dentists, doctors, they're just not building them.
And Pete, where's Silverlands? Explain that to us.
So if you head out on the old Chudley Road out through Alphington, past Bridge Motorcycles, it's halfway along that road, over the roundabout on the right-hand side. As you're coming out of Exeter, it's a glorious-looking Victorian-style house.
It's set back. It looks
Yeah,
lovely.
it's set back. It's gorgeous, and it got restored probably about 10 years ago now, because it's in a derelict state for a long time. And it's just lovely. You go out through Hamilton, and before you get into the new estate, you've got some nice old properties there.
Yes, the character of the city.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think it's, getting rid of it, it's just going to be a bit of a shame.
Okay.
Bit of
Hey,
our
Neil,
heritage gone.
do you want to add to that?
Yeah, regarding that place, if you object, you have to write to the planning, City, go on my webpage or my Facebook, it tells you what to do. You can sit on the armchair and don't say anything. But I had a real good conversation with the highways last week. It's nothing to do with Devon, it's to do with Exeter. But the more people who complain or appeal against it, they will have to go to planning. And that is where your councillors will sit round the table and they will make the decision. Also, get hold of your local councillors. Exeter City Councillors, it's their job to listen to the people. If you don't want it, you need to make sure they are on your side, not all sat around that table agreeing to build these houses. It's go on that, look at my Facebook, it will tell you what to write and what to question.
Okay, fantastic. Anything else to add, Neil? What have you been doing locally?
Yeah, Tony's had a little bit of a conversation with Steve. We won't mention it, the local MP. I've got a motion going through Thursday about the weeds. I'm still on the weeds.
What's that motion going to do?
It's about finding a solution. All right. It's all right saying we've stopped it. We've stopped the funding. We can do this. We can do that. I've put it to Devon County Council. I've put it to the Lib Dems. We need to find a solution. If we have to bring some form of weed killer back or some mechanical, which they moaned about the other day, saying it could cause damage, it's getting damaged. The weeds are doing horrendous damage. We need to find the right. And by the way, weed poison is not being banned. Okay, by Devon.
That's
All
right.
So whether you like it or not, we're going to have to poison these weeds in certain areas because it's destroying our roads. And I know people don't like hearing that, but let's just get the facts right. They are destroying our curbs, our roads. You know, and we will pay for that.
I really like a good laugh, Neil, and I think I got something in the Post the other day from the Lib Dems, which has a picture of weeds in St. Thomas. Well, the Libs control the Devon County Council, so why doesn't Adrian just ask his leader, Julian Brazil, about it, right? And then now Steve Race jumped on. You know, guys, episode 6 was when we started the weeds, and I had my famous Weetabix box, you know, and everything like that. And then some people said that the issue is done. Well, it isn't done.
No,
Steve Race is on it. Adrian's on it. Even Labor flipping's on it now. But they're all responsible for it, right?
It sounds ridiculous. I mean, we've got limited resources using community payback, and obviously we've only got one machine. So I've managed to sort of send it into various areas, and I think it went down Exwick Road as well. But somebody pointed out you can still see weeds. Well, I did look at the picture and say I can see weeds up the walls there, but unfortunately the machine does not go up the walls. And then somebody said the weeds are growing back. Well, they will do unless you put weed killer on them.
What's your view on it, Peter? Because you work in Marsh Barton, you live in Alphington.
I think that probably the best solution, as you say, is glyphosate, because it is a solution.
Dirty word, though.
But it works, though, doesn't it?
It does work, yes.
You know, like you say, I noticed the other day. So my lads and myself, when we're working, we have to road test vehicles. So our route is out through Ede Village Road now, back up over the back of Dunsford Hill, down Dunsford Road. And I've started to notice we've got a bit of an issue now, because when you get down to the crossroads where the first and last pub was, in the Carrick Street, bottom of Dunsford Road, the weeds are getting that big that you're finding that the cars in the left-hand lane...
Sensor pushes them out.
It's pushing them out. And, you know, it's just causing problems. There's going to be an accident there in a minute, I'm sure of it.
Well, there's a great location, my favorite location. Well, I've got a lot of favorites, but one of the favorites is on Elphington Road, which is right around the corner from here. And if you go on Elphington Road, Tony, towards
Bit of a tree there growing,
the
isn't
roundabout, right before the overpass railroad bridge, there's this buddleia bush. Flippin' heck, Neil and I chopped made it spotless about 6 months ago. Now the thing's about 5 feet high.
Just a question, Rob. When they had no sound, was it before I give the Reform UK NHS policy or after?
Give it again.
Okay, just before.
Yeah.
This is quite. I just want to get this right because Rob messed up with the sound. Right, Reform UK.
We're hiring guys. Okay.
NHS policy. Okay, let's just put. Okay, the question you may get: does Reform UK want to privatise the NHS? How many times I've heard that, and how many times it's been on my Facebook? You want to privatise it? You're only asking these questions. It's all rubbish. Okay, the current policy right now, which is published, the NHS will remain free at point of use. You understand that, Pete?
I do, yes.
Right, free at the point of use. Right, it will still be funded by the general taxation. So what we are saying is it needs to be looked at. It needs to be reformed. NHS is not the same as abolishing it or making it people pay. Right? It's about the patient. So just get that right. We've got that out now, have we?
Oh yeah. Well, it's just a tactic from the opposition. For example, they say, "Well, Rob's a racist," or something like that, just to put you on the defense. That's all.
All reform supporters are racist. And you think,
Yes.
well, that I don't think that's true. To be
So
honest.
just to call out, guys: Lois, Kim, Ian. Always love what you say. Karen. Marion, if you're there, please send it in. I don't see you there, but good to see you. Ian Frankham says Exeter City Count workers have been removing weeds all week along the Honiton Road. It looks much better. Brilliant. Fantastic for that.
Okay. So, Neil, we're going to now move on to your great brother for an update. Is that okay with you?
Of course it is.
Oh, brilliant,
Tony?
brilliant. Right, so the first thing is, yes, what Rob said's true. I will be out on Saturday knocking on reform doors just to sort of get an idea of any issues that they see or whether or not we've got their support still. So, please be nice to me. Right, a couple of things I thought I'd do just to sort of show you the things we get up to. Somebody reported about there being power issues at the top of Red Hills and power cuts quite regularly. I got hold of Western National Grid, that was it, and they explained that it was an underground cable fault and that the trip switches were going because of that. They found the issue, they've sorted it, so hopefully there won't be any more power cuts. And another thing was Knowles driver, the lampposts have been hit on an RTA. They did say that it wasn't going to be replaced till December. I chased it up, and now hopefully September the 8th, 9th, it's going to be replaced. So that's quite a good movement there.
Okay, thanks very much, Tony. And Neil's got his hand up, but Neil, can you wait, please? Just okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. And then I'd like to ask actually Pete how his day went, if you don't mind. But yeah, so just what Tony was saying. By Saturday, we'll have knocked on every single Reform member's door this side of the river. Okay. That's what we're going to do, and because we got an army going. And Neil, did you want to mention anything about the meeting that we might be having?
No, you asked Peter a
just
question, you
past that?
never let him answer it. Peter, how's your week going?
I didn't ask him the question yet. I was
Yeah,
going
that
to
was
get to
deferred. He was going to come to me in a minute.
Pete. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. I'm just gone back to work after quite an operation on my shoulder. I still haven't quite worked out whether they're happy to see me yet or not. Anyway, I would have to say my guys did a fantastic job. I was talking to Neil about this earlier on. I stayed away for about 6-7 weeks, and I did it intentionally just to see how the processes were working out. And yeah, it's been fantastic. Quite humbling, really. Yeah, I got a great bunch of people down there. Yeah, weather's still good. Do a bit of rain, but
We had some rain today. What are you on about?
yeah, not a lot, was it? Come on, my garden is looking dire.
Yeah, well. My daughter brings her dog round, so mine looks as
Okay,
though it's,
right, tonight we're going to have fewer slides. It's going to be less jumping around, right, and it's more about proper conversation. So over the last few days, right, I've asked local people, I've put that up, and to tell me about their experience with the NHS, Tony.
Yeah.
Right, I've printed everything out. It's been fantastic, and I really appreciate everybody's honest and openly. And what struck in my mind, it's not all bad. So it's not about doom and gloom. It's not about doing anything, right? Right? It's praising the doctors. I'm going to praise the nurses, the consultants, the paramedics, the GPs. There's been a lot of praise there. You know, they've told me about generally needed emergency treatment, and the NHS were there for them. I'll tell you my stories. I've had 3 major accidents since I met my wife. No, she hadn't done anything to me. Yeah, right. And
or knife, whatever.
and last Thursday, Tony and I saved a lady, and she's in hospital now. Sadly, she might not. You know, she's had a stroke, and she might not last. So my heart goes to the Barnes family, and I mean that. Okay, so what they're basically saying, effectively said, NHS has saved my life, and I would say they've saved my life more than once, right? But what I've also heard about people who can't find NHS dentists, we're going to talk about that. We've been talking about waiting months for treatment. We're looking at struggling with appointments. We're looking at ambulance response times. Now, this would be an interesting one because, you know, define the word ambulance. Who should have an ambulance priority? It's life or death. So we'll come back to that one. All right. We're also looking at NHS staff themselves working with enormous pressure. So I've had feedback from NHS people. They've told me the good things, they've told me the bad things. This tonight isn't about NHS bashing, guys. All right, that's one point. We want plenty of feedback. We need people coming in asking questions. I've got some ladies have sent me really interesting stuff in the background. Some of it I won't bring up because I've got to confirm it. So we're not attacking anybody working, right? It's about people working with the NHS, the system, and they're being asked to work in. So we're looking at the system. What we're looking at is, you know, how many managers is there? All right. We're looking at what's working. And that's what I want you guys to come back to. What isn't working? Why? Rob, why? And I know you've had a good part of your time in the NHS. And what's the answer? We're not here to change the world. We're not here to do that. So we've asked Pete to come in tonight because he had an experience which he'll tell you about. All right. I will tell you about my experience, and then we want you feeding in. Any comments, guys?
Well, I think the one you should talk about first is dentistry and the lack of why so many NHS dentists are going private. You have to question why. There must be a reason. I'm one of the ones, my dentist has gone private, so I've got to look for another one now. But again, you need to know the reasons why.
And we'll come on to that in a minute. So I've had a lot of people say they can't find an NHS dentist. And I've done my research on it, so we'll look at that. they can't find an NHS dentist. All right. Well, you were talking about your teeth just now.
My teeth, yeah, I had to.
All two of them, eh?
Yeah, they're real, honestly. So I look after my teeth religiously. I'm just very unfortunate with obviously my DNA that I get gum problems. Anyway, I had them cleaned, and I started getting toothache, and I put up with it for a bit, and then I went down to see my dentist, NHS. Been with him for years. Really, really great service, to be fair. Went in there, wisdom tooth, got to pull it out. So they did, straight out, no problem. It was really good, and it was very cost effective for me.
Okay, so we're looking at, let's just stick with the dentist right now. This is what people have been telling me. So one resident says he spent more than 2,000 privately over 2 years. £2,000. Another says he paid 514 for extraction. Is that for one tooth?
Could be.
I would have done it for 40 quid. No, I pulled one out in Afghan. Yeah, I pulled them out. Yeah, only one.
Yeah.
Right.
They want them pulled out. Though.
Right. Remember, these are individual experiences. Right. We're not saying the prices apply everywhere.
I would add as well, though. So when back in the day, when I used to go to the dentist, you had a problem. My dentist used to do everything. He'd do root canals, root fillings, all sorts of stuff. And then I found the dentist where I'm at now, and what was happening, which I found a bit strange. Obviously, it was the way that it was going. That they would start referring you. So then I would have to go and get some. If I was to have an extraction or a crown or whatever, I would then get referred to another dentist. There was one down in Ashburton, and there was also one in Longbridge Street. Which became quite expensive. 700-800 quid, I think, was the last one. But there seems to be a swing back now, certainly with my dentist, where they're doing everything actually more in-house again. So it sort of went away and then's come back. Whether I'm just, uniquely fortunate. Yeah.
So the question I'm going to ask everybody, where has all the NHS dentists gone? I do know a little bit of an answer. I'm not saying it's correct, all right? Right, but there is still dentists around. There is still NHS dentists around. Rob?
Well, I was just going to, just from a commercial standpoint, Neil, if you went to dentistry school, I think the first port of call is maybe I'd be an NHS dentist. but sooner after that, man, why would an NHS dentist or any dentist accept maybe, let's just say, £100 for removing a tooth when they can do it privately for £200? Because there are only a few. It's not sustainable. The NHS is going to have to pay the going rate for, unless they can completely want to control the market, which means they'll have to pass a law saying there are no more private dentists. It's about supply and demand. It's about, paying a proper wage for the dentists. After all, they have a great specialty. What do you think, Neil?
Well, have you heard of the UDA? Anybody, eh?
Yeah, I read about it today.
Assuming the D stands for dentist.
No, right. So the problem is partly about the dentistry has actually been delivered under the NHS arrangements. No, you're looking, what the hell is the UDA? Well, I've done my research.
I was thinking something about Northern Ireland
No,
there
it's
for a
not the
minute.
Ulster Defence. Yeah. Right. For years, there's been criticism. All right. The NHS dental contract, particularly with the UDA system, which stands for Unit of Dental Activity.
Right.
All right. So this is what the dentists sign up for.
Yeah.
And if anybody want to add to it, there is comments here, guys. Anthony, I'll get to you. Foxtrot, I'll get back to you. Whoever wants to comment, I will get back to you on that. But I'm trying to keep a flow tonight. Right, so the argument with the dentist, right, has been that the NHS payments haven't always properly reflected the time and the complexity involved in treating the patients. So bottom line is, it could be 2-3 hours, but they only get paid so much.
Yeah, and also, Neil, the cost of equipment is a significant factor also. We've used to be, remember, you used to go to the dentist, they'd put a little thing in your tooth with a little x-ray film or something like that. But now it's all digital. And it's stored on cloud servers and everything. It's really a big expense, but it's a lot better service. So this costs money.
Yeah, and I put this to you guys. So when you privatise, they can control the fees. They can control it better than being. I shouldn't use the word subservient to the NHS, but they're under contract. So in a way, can you blame them? I mean, would you want to be
basic economics,
set
isn't
to a
it?
contract where you can only charge X amount for
Why
your
would
job,
you do that?
when you can spend 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours?
But then we turn around and we say, why do we pay national insurance? Part of national insurance is free healthcare. And
But
you
it's
think,
the contract with the NHS, the government.
If
NHS.
the hospitals were to go
Yes, I
private
agree.
and the dentists were to go private, all we're paying the national insurance for then is for our pensions, which is no guarantee we're even going to get that. So therefore, can we sort of not pay so much?
And here's an idea as well. So my family have been involved in the NHS healthcare for my gran, my great gran, my 2 sisters, my mum. My mum came up with this idea the other day. And she said, well, actually, if you think when you retire, you stop making national insurance contributions, don't you?
Yeah.
So any monies that you were directing towards the NHS stops. And she said, well, actually, when you retire, that's when you start needing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the time that you retire, you then pull back. So that was. I was a bit like, I don't know if I'd
But
like
what's
to
the
do
answer to that?
But
You carry on paying.
Without going off
Well-
the subject, I was watching GB News and they're on about taxing the pensioners 2% on their wealth if they've got more.
Yeah.
Then they've got a young woman on there going, well, she didn't use the exact words. Why should they have all that? Because they bloody work for it.
well, exactly.
Yeah.
Why not?
And then I work my whole life. I worked 50 years, right? 50 years, which is quite a long time actually. And I know I don't look over 50, but
I didn't think
I was
so.
thinking you were
so I
about
worked
20,
50
Rob.
years, and then I finally get a pension, from the UK government, which is about a third of the pension that people get in the US. And then they want to tax that. See, you have to report that on your income tax. If it's below the 12,570 threshold, you don't have to pay tax. But you know what I mean? If you paid in the pension system, you should be given the pension free of tax, I would think, wouldn't you?
So a question I'm going to ask everybody out there, right? Are we actually short of dentists? Are we? I don't know. Or are we short of dentists willing to be able to provide enough for the NHS treatment?
Well, that's probably more to
So
the point.
the question
isn't it?
is,
Yeah.
are we short of dentists? And this goes out to everybody, or they don't want to be NHS dentists.
I think in my case, the dentist is still there and they still operate, but obviously operate privately. So I did get the offer of, did I want to spend 10, 20 or £30 a month to have my teeth checked twice a year? Well, I just looked at it and thought, if my teeth are going to be needed sorting out, I'll just wait until the need's sorted out and pay for it as a onesie.
Yeah, I mean, on the positive side, there is still NHS dentists. So we're not knocking dentists. We're just trying to get the balance. Private, NHS, why they're going private? Because of this UDA. So something needs to be looked at. You
Well,
know,
can I just address what Tony
children
was
are still
saying?
receiving NHS treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just to come back to what Tony was saying, that's a doggone good example because, if you brush your teeth every day, you'll have less cavities. If you go to the dentist every year for a checkup, if you have a cavity, they'll fix it then and before it gets in a big canker sore or whatever, And it's if you work out, if you keep fit, it'll make you healthier. So just waiting until the wheels fall off the car and the car gets a big train wreck is not a good thing. And that's what's happening in Britain here is because a lot of people really can't find a dentist.
Then
They
start doing it
defer things
themselves.
just like you're doing, Tony. But you're a wealthy man. You should be able to afford to pay,
You said it, Rob.
And instead, those people that can afford it are able to get dentists. So there is a gap there, really. The people that really need to have a dentist but can't find a dentist and can't afford the
I think I
private
read
dentists
the
are
statement
having
today.
problems.
52% of people are still getting NHS treatment.
Right.
I can't remember the other one. It was some people who don't bother, right? But the changes need to be done in dentistry, right?
Yes.
But let's get it right. It'd be wrong for us to sit here and pretend nobody is actually getting anything done. So it is. People are getting.
I think
you can have urgent dental provision, all right? But are those changes enough for somebody in Exeter who simply want a routine NHS dentist? Because I used to get once every 6 months, once every year. Now I have to pay. I pay now. No, that's incorrect. I'm still NHS with the lady because I've been with her so long. She felt sorry for me. Okay, so she kept me on the list. But if I have any extra stuff, yeah she's lovely.
you know,
Yeah, yeah.
remortgage the house.
Yeah.
I
think
did
it came
read.
back to,
I did read somewhere though that they are training up loads of dentists. So hopefully in the future, the situation. What are you rolling your eyes for, Rob?
Well, I can add
The
to that.
situation
I can add
may
to that.
change.
Yeah, well, they've been saying that for years.
So can I chime in here, please? So my dentist, I'm not going to tell you where it is because they're really good, and I don't want that to change.
Don't want me to go there.
But the dentists that I see are dentists that have just come out of their university degree. So basically, they're using me as a guinea pig, which is probably why I still get NHS treatment. But to be honest, so they sit down there for about a year, and they just keep the flow of new dentists coming through, which I think is really good. So it's kind of a proving ground for these guys, getting the experience. So there are new dentists coming in, and that's just in my dentist. There are going to be plenty more that do that.
Yeah, I've got some good things here. We'll come about the ambulance later, Ian. Paul, surely sense should say the NHS has trained you. You look locked in the NHS dentistry for X number of years. Sue spoke to a trainee dentist the other day. I questioned why he didn't want to NHS. He said, simple, money.
Mm-hmm.
£64 for 2-minute checkup with my dentist. Cannot get NHS dentists and extra. Previous dentists have gone private. My dentists have 500 practices. Are they buying up all the independent NHS corner of the market? They don't like NHS. That's Adrian. Thank you for that. I've got others here. So the question, I go back to you guys, why can't you get a private appointment, but not, you can get a private appointment, but not an NHS one?
Neil, do you think part of the problem is that the government doesn't allocate, this is the problem with the GPs, I believe, but the government may not be allocating enough dentistry spaces in universities like Pete was alluding to? Because it seems to me that they need to double or triple the amount of capacity in universities and forget about social media degrees, because, for example, they've been saying this as long as I've been in Britain, which is now almost 30 years, is for GPs. There aren't enough GPs training slots. We're not training them in this country. We're importing people because there aren't enough people being trained.
Yeah,
What do
but
you think?
let's stick to the NHS treatment operates through the NHS, all right? That's contractual arrangements. We all agree with that, right? But a private treatment, it basically operates completely differently. So it's about money, really.
Yeah.
But
So
if
perhaps-
you think, people pay £20, £30 a month, and that particular practice has got X amount of patients, that's a lot of regular money coming in, and you still have to pay for any treatment that you need.
So what's the answer? More emergency appointments?
Well, I was going to say one of the things is the amount of buildings that are going up, and you've summed it up in Alphington. One of the things that they don't have is the infrastructure, and one of them should be a dentist.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a
And
great observation.
you could
Tony.
have that dentist in Silver Line.
Silverlands.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be a?
No, because we
I
don't
think
want
that's
to
the
lose the
central
house.
point, isn't it? That's a great example. There are two examples you've raised. One is yourself, where the NHS does not offer you a free annual checkup. And the second thing is exactly right. In Alphington, why don't they have a dental practice? That's a government
Well,
failure.
they are going to
isn't it?
build a medical centre, and let's hope it doesn't go the same way as the school and stop subsiding. But,
Yeah.
But it was just one of those that you think
Yeah, but-
the infrastructure, build a dentist,
totally agree.
and
We're
then
not-
build 60-odd houses if that's what you've got to do. But
There are
you've got
2,000 houses
You've got an
there,
old
right?
building there that would probably be ideal as a dentist.
Yeah, so we're not knocking the dentists, right? Because if you've got an emergency dentistry...
No, we're begging the dentists. We need them.
We want you. I
Right,
want
yeah,
you.
but if
I
you're
know
in
that.
severe pain, right, of course you ring up a dentist and they should do emergency on you. But it's about routine preventative care. That's what we're looking at.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Because I
Neil,
was taught how to brush your teeth.
2,000
6 months a
houses
year.
in
What was
Alphington being built, I think, right?
Disclosing tablets,
Loads.
remember those?
Yeah.
All the red. You're not
Okay,
doing a
anyway,
good job.
2,000, just to make a point, gentlemen, what Tony was illustrating, if there are 2,000 houses in Alphington, there must be at least 4,000 people there, right? So
At
there's
least.
4,000 people moving in that need a dentist.
They'll be shifted around other dentists. And it's the same with Pinot. If you look how overdeveloped, well, I won't say overdeveloped, how many houses that have been built there? I don't think any dental practices have been built there either.
Well, Neil, this is a great topic.
Yeah, so we can finish. We can go on a little bit. So emergency dentist really puts out the fire, right? But if you have routine dentistry, it helps prevent the fire from starting.
Prevention's better than cure, isn't it?
So I always been taught to brush your teeth once you've had something to eat. Go to the dentist at a minimum of twice a year, and that will prevent it. And I've still got my teeth, and I'm.
So you're saying
They're in a jar next to his bed.
I mean, I must
Keeps them under
confess,
the
I
bed.
haven't been into the. I go private because I can't find an NHS dentist, but I haven't been in for cleaning for over a year, which I should. But every time I go, Tony, into the clean, get my teeth cleaned.
Rob just
they
takes
say
them
the
out,
same
don't they?
thing. They
Leaves
say,
them.
Mr. Sheridan, you don't floss enough. And that's prevention, isn't it? That's
You just leave
what
them
I
and
need
say,
to
I'll be
hear.
back later.
Right, so let's look at some solutions. Right? Do we think that the government, NHS, should I say NHS, not the government, right, should be looking at the contracts again, maybe changing the contracts to make it more
Appealing.
workable, appealing? Yeah. You know,
I mean, you've got to look at it.
it
The
needs to be
dentists are
financially
there.
variable, good for them, innit?
The dentists
viable,
are
would
there,
you
though,
say?
so
Well, it does, but it gets back to the same old issue, doesn't it? Cost. So, we're paying all this tax. I don't know if I'm going off piece here. Yet we're not getting the
You'll be paying
services.
them more tax in October.
Well, yeah. So we're paying like massive. What we're the highest taxpayers now in Europe? I don't know. We're paying a lot of tax anyway.
I just sit and
highest
cry,
since the
that's it.
Second World War when they had to rebuild the country, and we're getting the services are not as good as they were. Why is that? How is that fair? What have we got to do? Pay everything towards it to get the service?
I think one of the things, as I point out, they're still the same. You've got loads of dentists there that have gone private. You've got to do some sort of deal, an offer that's going to get them to start accepting.
But they ain't going to do it for less
again.
money, are they? Why would they do
they-
that?
This is what
do
I'm
it.
saying. The solution is they've got to find a compromise where these ones that have gone private will start accepting NHS patients.
Well,
But it's all about money.
Well, they could license it, couldn't they? It's a bit
Yeah,
like
but
when
what
you
about
build
new
houses,
dentists
you have
starting
social
off?
housing, so there have to be an amount that for them to be allowed to practice. This could be an idea that they would have to take on X amount of NHS patients per. So I don't know, say 10 per 100 normal patients. I don't know.
What about incentives for new qualified dentists?
I think
you
that's
said, it's
already
similar to
there,
what you're
though.
saying. New qualified dentists,
Yeah.
you
That
do so
incentives
much
are
for the
already
NHS, right? I just think we need to look at, because it's boiled down to, they're not going to do it for nothing.
Well, no, you could do it like midwifery. So a friend of mine's daughter went to Wales and did a midwifery degree, and she didn't actually complete it. She didn't carry out, so she ended up paying some of her degree back. But if you stay and work for the NHS in Wales at that point, I think it was Cardiff University, if you stay and work in their hospital for a period of time, then you don't have to pay your degree back, and that's absolutely fine. So perhaps they could do an incentive like that to keep maybe the the newly qualified dentists in
Right,
the NHS.
we're going to move on now. This is one reason you're coming on. We're going to move on. Keep the same slide. We're going to move on.
Well, there's a good expression, Neil, which is show me the money. I think that's what the government needs to do to NHS dentistry, right?
Wow.
So we'll move on. We're going to talk about struggling to access routine care somewhere when you need it. You expect help immediately, and the key word is 999. So we're going to look at Pete's experience. I want feedback, negative, positive. We've got time always goes quick on this. So Pete, you rang me up the other day, and I said you're coming on the show whether you like it or not. What do you want to talk about? I said. He goes, ambulance. Crack on.
Yeah, 999. No in German, isn't it? So I shouldn't say it like that. So my daughter, I managed to get her down to the gym with me because I go down and try to prevent, ailments in my older age, my latter years.
I generally come out of that.
I come out feeling
Did
worse
more
than when I went
damage,
in. But my lovely daughter, who's 18, went to put a kettlebell back on the shelf, did it in an awkward fashion, and popped a knee out, a kneecap. It was pretty. Not the prettiest thing to see. Anyway, so she's on the floor. We're like, what do we do? So we made it comfortable. Right, let's ring the ambulance service. So 999. Can we have an ambulance? Yeah, there's going to be a fair wait. This was at 7:30 in the evening. Anyway, so she's on the floor. She's wrapped up in foil because you've got to make sure she's kept warm. I swapped over with my other half, Ali, about 11:30 that evening because I had some commitments the next day. Anyway, 3:30 in the morning, the ambulance finally turned up and picked her up. So 8 hours. she was lying on the floor. Around 12:30 at night, she was getting a bit tearful because she needed to go to the toilet. So my partner Ali again rang the NHS and said, "Look, what's going on?" Da, 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 da. And they said, "Well, I'm afraid she'll just have to sort herself." And I just felt that was pretty disgusting. And nothing against the NHS staff. So this ambulance appeared, and it came from Oakhampton. The ambulance or the paramedic said, "We had this call at 7:30. Is it still the same one?" Yes, it was. And then the conversation goes on from there. So they get her into the NHS, the RD&E, sorry. They had put her leg in a splint. My other half, Ali, when she's going, I shouldn't laugh. They're taking her downstairs, and Ali's only role in this was to support her leg. Anyway, she slipped and dropped Ellie's leg. Anyway, subsequently, it put her kneecap back into position. So actually, it was really good. Anyway, that aside, they got her into the RD&E up in Hertfordshire. She's on a stretcher, and it couldn't be released. So these guys, paramedics, have been on a 12-hour shift. They dealt with 5 people. Now, I don't know the severity of the other people that they dealt with, but there were 7 other ambulance crews up there, and they weren't allowed to go anywhere until the patients were released into the care of the RD&E. They were shipping Ellie around. They were taking her down to get her X-rays done. They were getting cups of tea, and it was very good, but such a waste of resource, which is why I can see that Ellie had to wait 8 hours to get an ambulance out.
So the question is, how can someone wait hours for an ambulance? But, right, there isn't necessarily one answer for this.
There's
right?
many.
There's no answer, Rob, right? Because, they're critically prioritised. And I've had ambulance people tell me what they do, all right? If you've cut your finger, people ring up. I'm not saying people do that, but example, people cut their finger and they expect an ambulance. When there's somebody, that lady we had with the stroke, right? She was, to me, I waited about an hour and I played Frank Sinatra.
Was it? Oh, right, yeah.
That was disgusting, Neil. You shouldn't have done that.
I have to tell him that. So the lady was comfortable. I put her in a recovery position and put Frank Sinatra on. What was the song?
And now the end is
did it my way.
Now the end is near.
And then you put another one on, wasn't it? And that was That's Life.
That's life. But we both laughed.
I
anyway.
did it my way.
All right. So, so remember, I'm not going to go into my first aid. Got breathing, cardiac arrest. Somebody's facing another immediate life-threatening emergency. That will take priority. We are getting bigger. Extra is getting bigger. We're getting massive. Right. It's going to get bigger again. Right. So.
Yeah, they're reducing hospital beds.
But they're reducing hospital beds, and Go on, Rob.
Okay. Well, you have a note on the show notes here. It says, "Rob, make sure that Pete Anning finishes his script before you chime in." Are you done, Pete? Because I've got a comment.
You carry on, Rob.
Well, anyway, maybe a little mini deep dive, if that's okay for you NHS geeks. But I worked at several trusts, and one of the interesting issues is that I would call sometimes the NHS trust as a client, just as a patient as a client. And unfortunately, the ambulance services do not work for the trusts. They provide a service to the trust. And the services or the trusts are not allowed to use basically anything other than the ambulance service. I worked for a couple trusts, actually, which wanted to have a gateway system where they said, you know what, if you don't have a patient that has any issues whatsoever, you can call up an Uber, you can call up a local taxi service. But that was scuppered by the CCG, it was called at the time. So unfortunately, most trusts are faced with no option of having to use an ambulance service, which is beholden to themselves and nobody else. That's one of the fundamental problems. Anyway, that's the end of my deep dive.
No, thank you for your deep dive. And you can bring in here. So response capacity is affected by demand, right? Available crews and what's happening with the ambulances reach the hospital. And like I said, we are getting bigger. Alphington's getting bigger. You've got a lot.
Exeter's getting bigger as a whole. It's expanding its borders.
Yeah, but I've also had some good people tell me completely different experiences. Right, so sadly your daughter had to wait 8 hours. I only had to wait an hour. When my father was ill, they were very good. Right, they've also said from the residents, generally needed urgent emergency treatment. They were dealt with immediately. And my granddaughter had a problem. When she was really born very young, she fell off the chair, banged her head. The ambulance was there within 10, 20 minutes. So I'm not complaining. Right. Right. So it's all about different experiences. Emergency departments reminded me of something. Right. So emergency department have told me this. You don't necessarily see what is happening behind those doors. And I'll repeat that. You don't
What do you mean by that,
see
Neil?
what's happening behind the doors. But when you go to you're in the waiting room, you're on the beds, the door's shut, there's a lot of things going on there. Somebody sitting in the waiting room might think nothing's happening. Right? Because you sit there, you could sit there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours.
Yeah.
I know I've got messages coming in. I'm trying to keep the flow right now. Trying to keep the flow. All right.
Well, they
Like-
triage patients, don't
But
they?
you've got, meanwhile, you've got critically ill patients arriving and being treated immediately. Yeah, triage. Triage is working as it should.
Yeah.
So you've all done triage. All right. If you don't know what triage is, you go into the room, they look at you, they basically judge you whether you're a
Priority
priority.
system, basically.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. I mean, one of the problems, isn't it, Neil, is that, it'd be wonderful if you woke up in the middle of the night and you're vomiting like crazy and you really felt very badly. You could phone your local GP and they would take care of you locally, instead of going to Big Brother's RD&E facility and clogging everybody up, because RD&E should be reserved really for critically ill people. You don't really have any local thing. Although that said, on the high street, I think in Exeter, there is an outpatient facility, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got something
But generally,
from...
that's an issue, really. If people could go locally to their GP for small issues, then they wouldn't have to go to the A&E department.
I've got from Ian 4 categories of ambulance response. Ian, if you could give me them 4 categories, I'm not an expert. Sue, nice to see you, Sue, again. Taxis are regularly used, trust me. Yeah, so you've got taxis. If you want to get that person there, I'm not saying you don't ring an ambulance. I'm just saying there is other ways of getting to the hospital. All right, but we just got to distinguish between the system correctly prioritizing, right, the sickest patients, right, and the system that simply doesn't have enough capacity. So we've got to get that balance. Is the hospital big enough now? I don't know. Peter?
Well, I don't think it probably is. I would add, though, just getting back to Ellie's situation, the people that dealt with her were absolutely fantastic. So there's no complaint about that. It was just
I think the
scenario.
same with the lady who'd had the stroke. The ambulance people came in and they were fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Made her feel comfortable and everything.
Yeah, I mean, Neil, just to add something, suddenly thought of it, which is, unfortunately, with a free at the point of use service, you get people in there, which is a major problem, I think, on Friday and Saturday nights, that have been out drinking all night or on drugs or something like that, and they absolutely clog the A&E departments. It's a major problem. But because it's free at the point of use, they get free treatment. So, those people that really should have been more careful aren't penalized whatsoever, I don't think. Is that fair comment?
Yeah, it's fair comment, right? Yeah. So, taxi, Sue said ring a taxi. Ambulance service, call a taxi if you haven't got it, and they're always good. So we're looking at now, just because you are in A&E, right? We've all sat A&E.
Right.
I mean, I look at it and I think, I actually say to myself, is it worth me going? Am I putting pressure on the system? Can I just use some glue and glue up my cut finger or whatever you want to do, right? So the patients are assessed according to clinical need now, and that's why we have triage, right? So people might have gone in first and they've sat there for 5 hours, and somebody come in 1 hour or 10 minutes later, they've done something to their eye or whatever, and they're straight in. Eyes is really, really important, and that's why we have the triage. Right, are we using the A&E correctly? That's the question. Tony?
Are we using the what, sorry?
The A&E correctly.
A&E, well, yeah, I mean, I've obviously, when we've all had children, and you generally go in when they've gone and done something like smack their head or cut something. So I've sat a few times with them, and I've also sat through myself, but I wouldn't sit there on minor ailments. It would only be a case if I had to go there because.
Peter?
Well, I think I can add to that maybe a little bit, Tony, is it's sort of, the NHS kind of uses a, can't remember what the term is, but it's kind of like a backlog moderating system, which is, I'd really like to get my toe fixed, Tony. It's really hurting me like crazy, but I won't go because there's a tremendous queue, so therefore I won't go. So because there is a long queue at a free point of view service, it keeps certain people out that really shouldn't be there in the first place anyway. So in other words, having a queue is useful to some extent. With a
I mean, it is a case
see my
now
point?
that some of the ailments that they go for, they do say you can go to your local pharmacist and they will
Yes.
diagnose you and treat you and
Good
do
point.
whatever they've got to do.
What's your view, Peter?
Well, my view is they call it the emergency department now, not A&E. A&E is accident and emergency, not all and everything. So I think a lot of people went just to rely on it for the
Do you
slight
think they
layman.
go? Do you think people go because they can't get a GP, they can't get a dentist, or so they end up at the?
Sure, there's only one place to go. If you're in the middle of the night, Neil, what happens? If you're...
But define the word
if you have-
emergency. So
Yeah,
without
exactly,
triaging, there's different types of emergency in my eyes. When you've got your leg
Hanging
severed
off
or
or-
you're
yeah,
hanging
yeah.
off, that's an emergency.
What-
Yeah, so no, I'm not judging
Yeah.
any, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that people need to think about going up to that hospital. Is it a genuine life-threatening emergency, or can it wait?
Well, I think one of the problems you find, and I've happened across this as well, is if you want to get seen somewhere quickly, where do you go? Well, it's definitely not up at the ED, because no matter what time of day or night you go, there's always a massive queue. I take on board what you said about that, and actually a deterrent. But what you got to look at is a demographic of people that are more likely to avoid it, and it's likely to be blokes, isn't it? Let's face it, because we can't be bothered to wait. We aren't patient.
Blokes with the man flu, eh?
Yeah, that's the ones. But but as Neil said, you go and see your dispensing chemist now. There's a big push on that. I mean, one of the big suppliers of drugs to a lot of these chemists, they have changed their business model to deal with chemists now, because they are now sort of seen as your quick drop-in place for a bit of advice for a minor ailment, which actually is right, and it's a sort of service that you want. Anything more than that, it might be the walk-in centre, which are also very, very useful. And I would say, if it's something that's not quite an emergency, but you need to get it dealt with quick, go in the walk-in centre. They're far
Yeah,
quicker,
exactly.
and the service
need to have
again
more walk-in centres.
is fantastic.
Neil,
Yeah, no, it's good. Some really good comments here.
you're exactly
So,
right. Pete.
Ian, thank you. Number one, life-threatening unconscious heart attack. That's a priority. Emergency stroke, burns, urgent falls, or less urgent, i.e. vomiting, back pains. Thank you for that, Ian. Tina, our daughter-in-law is A&E. Talking about your daughter-in-law.
I didn't want to say that.
Consultant, and she tells us her department gets taken up with people who could see their GP but can't get an appointment. So they take up valuable time in A&E department that is not meant to be
But they
used
all have
as
to be
GP
seen. So
surgery.
there.
Right, call 111 and less threatening. Go walk-in centre, SIBWIL, or minor injuries with
Can I
eczema.
say too?
So I've rung 111 when I had breathing difficulty, and they had to give me
Whiskey.
steroids. Yeah, whiskey, steroid. Right, but
He didn't worry about it after that.
Said after about a pint of that, you don't care.
yeah. So let's move on to the next slide, Rob. And you want to say something, sir?
Oh, okay. Well, there's also the problem of the get-along, what I call the get-along culture. And I'll give you an example of that. Is one of the trusts I work for in northwest London area. They said, "Oh my gosh, these contracts are coming up for renewal." So I looked at one of the contracts. It was a radiology reporting contract because they had a tremendous backlog. For example, Tony, one of my friends in Exeter here got a angiogram 5 weeks ago. He has not had the results read. Same thing with many trusts. The one in Northwest London, they had a contract to read these scans, right? You know who the contract was with? The consultants themselves. So,
I was going to say they probably haven't.
why would the consultants, bust a gut to get the scans read? I'm not saying that all consultants are that way. I think there's probably a shortage of consultants is what's going on.
I was going to
So
say
it's-
though that perhaps the results were sent out by Royal Mail, but that's another story.
Let's build the evidence a bit, okay? Right, let's look at the hospital waiting lists and GPs. Now, I've had some good stuff on here. Before we talk about waiting lists, let's just acknowledge the other side. So, what people are saying, I've had people praising the RD&E, people praising consultants. I've had people praising the nurses. Well, I would always praise the nurses and all the people at the front
Anyone who
line.
works there,
the
yeah.
front line. Right, they told me about the GP surgery.
We just need
excellent.
more of them. That's all.
Yeah. Right, people telling me that when they generally need the NHS, it was there. So the NHS works well. People absolutely value it. And going back, reforming, not going to privatise it. They want to reform it because there's too many bureaucracy, too many.
It's a political hot potato. No party wants to deal with it, do
Yeah,
they?
there's too many managers. I've been told by people.
Somebody did say once, you can invest billions into it. It'd be like a black hole.
Okay, also people are saying more than a year waiting for physio, next scan, months longer than expected for further treatment, concerns about waiting for scan results, delays around wheelchair services. Right, so these are residents' individual accounts. I'm just quoting. All right. Yes, Rob.
Yeah. Another example is when I came here in 1997. I worked for a company that did business with the NHS, and I got to know some of the salaries in the NHS. They are very low, Neil. If you go to America, just on a rough rule of thumb, it's double salaries over there. It's absolutely ridiculous what they pay the staff here. They need more staff, and I think fundamentally the nation has a problem because, wouldn't it be wonderful if we had SpaceX or Microsoft or Facebook, have their headquarters in Exeter, where they were, hiring employees left, right, and center, paying them £75,000 a year, £100,000 a year, whatever it is, to get the employees, because that's what's happening in San Francisco with all those companies.
Yeah.
We are not generating the revenue. We are not attracting businesses into this country. We seem, for some reason, to envy wealth and to want other people to have their wealth, basically. I don't know.
So
it's a fundamental problem, basically.
Can I drop in on that comment when you said about paying the staff the right amount of money in the States? Though, isn't it a private system anyway? They have an insurance-based system, so therefore there's potentially more money.
Yeah, generally, it's probably evolved a little bit, but generally, if you work for a company, they will provide you with the health care. They will take the wages. They will pay for. Sometimes it's a bit of a complicated thing, but you pay for part of the health care insurance, and the company pays a larger portion.
A bit like we do for
also
pensions over
We're talking
here.
about the NHS here,
I know,
not America.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So when you go to a GP, also on top of that, there's a copay. So you pay $50 or something like that. So it avoids, Pete, the situation where people go to their GP all the time because they're drunk or whatever, because they have to have a copay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
So we've established that the NHS, be brilliant in one area, all right, but other areas it struggles. We all agree on that.
Yeah.
So what's the possible reasons? So we've got brilliant front line, we've got the staff, we've got
Not
the
enough
caterers.
staff. It's
Well,
obvious.
is it leadership? Is it staffing? We don't have a demand.
Well,
So these are the questions I'm asking you. Is it leadership? We don't have enough staff, or is there so much demand the staff can't handle it? Specialist shortages, capacity, all right? Local management. Some people say, I've had loads of people, there's too many managers.
The amount of money, Neil, that a nurse, which is, I've known several women whose daughters were nurses, and the amount of money that they get, Tony, graduating from university, and they're very clever people, is tuppence halfpenny. It's absolutely disgusting, really. They need to really pay people more, to attract them into nursing. And again, it gets back to a fundamental problem of the country, really.
Going back to some of these questions here. Glenn S. I had an eye operation this week. Only had to wait 3 months, which is about right. I'm glad I put it on the list. It seems the eye unit may be shorter than some other hospital. I can't complain. All right. Ian Frankenwald, Devon University Trust spent £20 million a year on agency staff. So Why aren't we? You know, we've got 1 million people, young people, 16 to 25, is
yes.
it, on NEET, not in education,
Yeah.
not in employment. Right, let's get them trained. You know, get them trained. You know, there's no reason you can't.
Well, why
do
should
it.
they, Neil? Because, you know, if a nurse graduates, I don't even know what it is anymore, but, you know, let's say they graduate and they make 32,000 pounds.
Well, I've been told they make less than a bus driver.
If you're on universal credit, you know, with a PIP and a Motability and all that, they probably make, and a free house, you probably make a lot more than 34 grand.
But you say primary care has changed, demand has changed
Well, demand's definitely changed.
because of more people.
Yeah. But why
you know,
also, I think a really important factor is this. Why did they make nurses degree-based? You know, they had a great system previously where, you know, you could have a lot more people going for that position that maybe weren't quite so academic. So maybe,
Where there was SRN and SEN, wasn't it?
Right, I've got here.
but you know, as in my industry, you know, you get youngsters in on I can't think what they call it now. It's just gone up here, apprenticeship, and that's how it used to be. You'd have a sister or a matron on the ward, and they would have nurses come under it, and then they made it degree based. So you're getting rid of a lot of people that have the potential to be really good quality nurses.
Well, we need more people. That's a fundamental issue,
Right.
I think.
So
So why
Sue-
would you gene pool for it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so Sue
agreed.
says, my daughter is training to be a paramedic in Australia, free uni course. She'll be paid much more than the same grade here. So you got to pay for the product, haven't you? You know,
But the cost of living is
You
also
get what
very
you pay
expensive
for.
out there as well.
so if we improve modern triage, you know, we need to improve that access, or as sometimes accidentally put another barrier between the patients. You know, I just think demand's there. We haven't got enough people.
Well, I think people are sort of going in there because they've got no GPs with minor ailments. So they go in there and it is clogging up the system.
Yeah.
I'm
And
sure, you know, if you did
just
look
to-
at everybody there, not everyone's an emergency or
Yeah,
really needs it.
to Rob, we won't talk about SEND and disability. That's a good one to do, completely different. Staff management and money, right? We need to start, right, you know, I know the doctors, nurses, paramedics, HCAs, receptionists, administrators, porters, cleaners, therapists, volunteers. You know, these are valuable people. I've had 3 major accidents, and every time I've been in hospital, right, I can never fault these people. You know, if it wasn't for the surgeon and the nurses, I would be in a wheelchair sucking out of a straw for one occasion.
And they, just to be clear, it was nothing to do with Dana, was it?
Nothing to do with Dana. Just trying to think. No, it wasn't to do with Dana.
No, not on that occasion.
In fact, I have to tell you, my wife made me, for 3 times she saved my life by making me go to hospital. So one was pericardial infusion, one was nearly severed my foot off my ankle, and another one was a parachute accident which nearly severed my spine.
Don't stand near you. I think
Yeah,
that's tomorrow,
exactly.
isn't it?
I blame her. I said I never had any problem before I met her.
The parachute
Okay,
house
moving
which she
on,
was
Neil,
cutting
okay?
the lines.
let's move on to the topic, okay? Should we wrap this up now?
Well, just one thing. A lady who's worked for the NHS for 40 years, her experience was she believes more managers should have experience on how the NHS should actually operate from the ground up. So going back to the army, you have to start as a trooper, lance corporal, wait till you get to the top so you understand how it all works. We have too many managers we sometimes have the wrong management structure. So we need to look at remember what reform said they're going to do. They're going to reform it. Okay, so saving £1 in one department, you know, does it cost £2 somewhere else? You know, that's the question you can ask yourself. You know, we need to train excellent people. We need to retain them. And I've said that. We need to train them, retain them, incentives, right? We need people. There's what, 9 million people? Not everybody wants to look after people. I understand that. 9 million people. Looking after somebody is so privileged.
It's privilege and it's very hard work
It's
as well.
very hard work. But looking after that lady, Tony, and I went in hospital and seen her yesterday, you know, I just thought,
Didn't play her that song again, did you?
no, I didn't play it. Actually, no, I didn't. Yeah. Right.
Always look on the
So
bright
I've got a
side
lot
this
more to
time.
discuss on this, and we're over time. But what I'm going to say, Sue, Ian, Rob, Anthony, you've done a lot of questions. Marion, I said I'll call out for you. It's Julia, all down to poor management, money squandered needlessly, not being. Yeah, what happens to them on the ground?
I will. Final words for me is they do a brilliant job, though. I've had it for a knee replacement for them and been stitched up in various places. Fantastic. I can never fault them.
So we're going to move on to the end slide because we've got carried away and it is a really good subject. So we're not there to criticise. We really praise all the NHS. We just need to look at how it's being run, how it's being managed, and where we can save money so the frontline people can get the support in the back.
You need to save money, but you have to spend money also.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that my friend, Neil,
Yeah.
who has heart issues, who hasn't had his scan results phoned to him for 5 weeks now, he could die, right? And that's not right. So we need to have more people and we need to pay them more.
Yeah, we need to pay them more and we need to retain them more. So a lot of people, and you had a good, we have a lot of Filipino staff come over. Are we taking these people away from the Philippines?
Well, of course
Totally
we are.
agree.
That was a
What
good
many
thing you
people
put
may
to
not
me.
know is in the Philippines they have colleges that are effectively factories, nursing factories, and the NHS is a pipeline for them right into the NHS. And it's probably true with other countries, but we're sucking talent out of these countries when they should be really helping their
We should
own
be nurturing
country
our own
first, I would
talent.
think. So Neil,
Do they
what are
still
your
have
concluding
matrons,
thoughts
do they?
here?
Do they have? Well, I think matrons should run it. I think once
I
you
don't
rate
think
your
they
way
do
up to
actually, don't they?
matron, you become a
I think
manager.
ward managers now they call it,
NHS
don't
should
they?
run it. NHS staff should run it. They know exactly how it works from the bottom to the top. Bringing managers in, bringing consultants in, having meetings on top of meetings. I think it's got messy.
Well, I will say nobody argue with matron.
Hattie,
Nobody
what's she called?
argued,
Hattie.
Hattie J.
So
That's the one,
if
yeah.
we just end it now, I really appreciate loads of comments tonight, loads of it. We're going to do a little bit of a touchy one next week. We're going to talk about universal credit and PIP, personal independent payment. Yeah, Rob's looking at me now. Rob says you're jumping out the box. No, we're not jumping out the box. It affects everybody in Exeter. It affects everybody here. All right. And it's going to be, and I invite anybody who wants to come on. I've got 2 seats here. All right. For anybody who wants to come on that to defend PIP, go against PIP. Right. Nobody takes up the offer. Now, would you call them armchair warriors, Peter?
I'll take up the offer.
Oh,
Oh,
you-
they are.
I'm busy next week, though.
Oh,
All right, so I'll put it out again next week. Before we go out again, I'll put it up on Universal Credit. I want negatives. I want positives. Remember, we're trying to find questions. We're trying to find answers. Whoever wants to come on, first name, come on. And I'll give you a Matt Goodwin book. Cost me 20 quid that. Well, it cost my wife 20 quid. Anyway,
how many are we down to now?
we've done quite a few. But really, thank you for watching. Peter, you know you're always welcome on here. Tony, you're a legend. And Rob, I'm going to pass it back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching the show, and we'll see you next time, Thursday, 6 o'clock, episode 62 from the Secret Underground Bunker.
An underground bunker.
Have a great week.